sold it. I bought a plane ticket, paid off my debts in India, and I only had $85 left in my pocket at that time.
I love the story and the grit determination.
Catch those leaky buckets and plug them at the right time. You're running into issues of timely filing limits, and you're just constantly losing money.
So when you said you were losing money, what was it? Was it the people, the process? Like, what was breaking down to where you had this realization that something was happening? And what was the fix? Welcome back to The Doers, the podcast where we dive into the real stories of building, struggling, and thriving in dentistry. I'm your host, Dan Hall. Today, I have somebody with me today that embodies the whole purpose of this show, to talk about the grit and determination of what it takes to build a business, go through the struggle, and change the shape of the future in dentistry. Today, I'm joined by Dr. Yar Khan. He is the founder of a pediatric dental group, plus somebody that is got a fascinating story about making their way to the U.S. with $80 in their pocket. I met him at Chicago Midwinter. We had a good conversation. So it sparked this whole thing to join me on the Doers Podcast. Dr. Yar Khan, thank you for joining me today. Super excited you could meet with me and join me for this podcast on the road in Houston.
Thank you so much. I think I met you first time when you got me into the CareStack Inner Circle conference on the reference of Travis Rogers.
Oh, that's right.
It was when I met you for the first time, and you're a great guy, and I think your podcast is very popular, and looking forward to having this conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited as well, too. Well, take me back to the beginning, because, that's the story that was a book for me. I know we met at Inner Circle, but I think beyond that, when we reconnected in Chicago, I found it fascinating. I think the listeners would, be really intrigued as well, too. And how did you find yourself making your way to the U.S. with just $80?
Well, the story began when I decided to come to the U.S. I was working as a dental surgeon in Saudi Arabia, and I just decided, I want to study further. This was not the end of the road for me. I was, doing the regular stuff like a dental surgeon does in clinical practice. Well, I saw this as an opportunity, and then I started taking my National Board dental exams. And what happens is in Saudi Arabia, if you're working as a dental surgeon, they give you 45 days of paid vacation. And during that time, I thought, let's get a visa for the US. Let's go ahead and take the exam and just try our luck. So I was able to get that done like for the first year of the vacation, then second year of the vacation, and then third time when I came here, I got like 5 interviews to interview at different universities. Well, I was excited that I'll get in, but that was my first failure. I was not able to get into a dental school. And they gave me offers at Harvard and at UPenn, but those were very expensive. They were beyond my budget. So I just couldn't go there. I talked to some of my friends and some family members here to go ahead and give me some kind of, where you can apply for a student loan. They have a cosigner. But that was kind of really unreasonable for me to ask because I didn't know how the system in the US works. And it was naive of me to ask them to co-sign for me. So that was, again, some of the things that I learned as I went. And I went back to India. And then after about a couple of months over there, I got a letter in the mail saying that I got accepted into UMKC, University of Missouri, Kansas City. And then I was so excited. I had a piece of land in India. I sold it. I bought a plane ticket, paid off my debts in India, and I only had $85 left in my pocket at that time. I took the flight, landed in Houston, actually in Dallas. And I had a friend in Dallas who I knew from childhood, and we've been in communication ever since, really, really good buddy of mine. And he said, okay, keep your $85 in your pocket. I'm not going to have you spend it until you reach UMKC. I'll buy you a Greyhound ticket. So he bought me a Greyhound ticket. And then I landed in the Greyhound bus station. I had made arrangements with a gentleman who was a faculty advisor for international students. Mr. Hassan, he was a professor in geology. He came to pick me up at the Greyhound station. Nice people in the world that actually make this world run. And I have so many stories and examples of such people who actually make a difference in the world. So anyways, long story short, Mr. Hassan picked me up, took me to his house, fed me that night, let me sleep in his house. Next morning, he took me over to an apartment complex where lots of international students lived. Well, the guy that was the leader of the pack took me in their wing. And then when I went to the apartment, he said, okay, that's your corner. We are 8 people over here in one apartment complex. 8 people were staying. And then he gave me my corner.
You get your one core.
So that's how it happened. So, well, I landed here and then went ahead and spoke to my program director. His name is Dr. John Dane. Told him that, I'm in a situation where I may have to have a job that can help me pay for my living expenses. And because first year was no tuition because I was still going to do a GPR program and they would pay you a stipend for that. But because an international student doesn't get paid a stipend, at least my tuition fee was waived. So Dr. John Dane created a position for me to be an assistant after hours. So he created that position, and then I was supposed to, clean the processor, clean the autoclave, set up for the day. And then I spoke to my co-residents because, it was a 5-hour job. So 5 o'clock, the residency would end. And from 5 to 10, I would have to, work these duties. So I spoke to my co-residents and I told them, if you guys let me take your calls, that'll be awesome because I get the dinner at the hospital because I'm taking the calls. And then I'm able to sleep in the hospital. And then next morning I get the breakfast and I'm at the residency program again. So this went on for 6 months to a year, and then I got a little bit stabilized. So because of that job that he created for me. So it's awesome, Dr. John Dane, Dr. Freddie Cisak, my friends, a lot of people who actually helped me along the way. I'm really grateful to them, but that's how the journey started.
That's amazing. I love the story. And the grit, determination, it must have been helpful. You got the failure straight out of the way at the beginning.
Yeah.
We went back home and regrouped, right? They had another chance. Yeah. I love that. So let's look at that next phase. As you jump in and you're finish dental school, right? You go through your clinician. How did you know that at this point where you're going to make this transition from being a clinician to an operator? Because you were running multiple practices. I'm guessing at some point being a strong clinician is only going to take you so far before you're running the business. But when and how did you determine that was a necessary piece to scale your company?
Well, to begin with, I did not even know that I will be in private practice, business of dentistry type of setup. When I was finishing my residency, second year in my residency, Katrina hit New Orleans, and I was doing my residency in New Orleans. So we were affected by that. My wife was 7.5 months pregnant, and we had to evacuate. And the traffic was moving in the direction of Houston. And that's how we ended up in Houston. So it took us 18 hours from New Orleans to Houston with my wife 7.5 months pregnant. And we only carried my credentials and then a couple of pieces of clothes, as well as our cat that was in a cage. So that's all we carried. And we were not able to go back for 6 months.
You had your cat and just your credentials.
Yeah, so we were not able to go back for 6 months. So now when I was here in Houston, obviously I didn't want to lose time in my residency. So I went ahead and I talked to the program director over here, Dr. Thomas Weil, Dr. Bob Tate. These were more gentlemen who helped me out. So they got me in as a visiting resident. That set a precedent for other residents that were in other parts of the country, and they got in. That's why, some of my residents, co-residents in pediatric dentistry program, they call me trendsetter VJ. But long story short, when I went back after everything settled related to Katrina, they asked me from UT Houston, they sent me a letter saying that we are looking for a faculty. And if you think that you want to be a faculty, then we have a position open for you. And that was all I was thinking because I wanted to be in academia. So I went in, I joined the dental school as an associate professor in pediatric dentistry. But another situation happened where UT later on, after about 3 years of my job with them, decided that they're not going to do my green card in the track that I was hoping that they will do. So that really put a bad taste in my mouth, and I went ahead and I decided, okay, if I'm going to be waiting for the green card for that long, I might as well just go ahead and make some money outside of the university setup. So I quit my job and I got into private practice. There was another gentleman in my program. He was my co-faculty, Dr. Freddie Cisak. He said, Vijay, I will introduce you to one of my friends who is not able to sell his practice. And you are sharp, you're talented, you should be in the real world practicing dentistry rather than just teaching. So I said, great, let's meet up with Dr. McGowan. Same thing, banks would not give a loan to a person who doesn't have a green card, obviously. Okay. So Dr. McGowan did owner financing for me. He said, okay, Vijay, pay me $50,000, and then you're going to pay me every month for 2 years so that the practice is paid off, and then I'm gone. Well, we made a deal. Dr. McGowan signed for my paperwork to get me into a green card process. And that was a big story by itself. We had a panel of 5 attorneys talking to Dr. McGowan, telling him, Vijay is not a runaway. He is not illegal. He's the 5% cream that comes from India. So, all of that transpired into Dr. McGowan getting comfortable with the process. And, he signed all the paperwork, and that got me into the system. But then Dr. McGowan stayed with me for the next 12 years because he really enjoyed all the burden that I took over from him, which was all administrative. He was coming in, doing dentistry, and leaving. So just before he got diagnosed with health issues, he decided to hang his boots, and he was 82 years old at that time.
Really?
Yeah.
So this thing went from 2 years
to 12 years.
To 12 years.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
And then that was my first practice that I owned. And when I was building that practice, so along these 12 years, even Dr. McGowan saw my growth where, I multiplied the practices. By the time he quit working with us, we already had close to 8 practices, I think. But that was a time when I started realizing that, I was losing money on practices. But this journey up until now was where I was not just the clinician taking care of the patients. I became a clinician operator, and I was transitioning over to be an executive, right? So I still was doing dentistry 5 days a week. I was totally burnt out by the doing administrative work and, taking care of the practices and being an executive. All of that made me really burnt out. So I took a step back when I started seeing that, I was losing money. I took a step back. I sold 3 of my practices. And then whatever money I made selling those practices, I decided that I'm going to improve the infrastructure related to how I was running this business.
Okay. So when you said you were losing money, what was it? Was it the people, the process? Like, what was breaking down to where you had this realization that something was happening? And what was the fix? And this might be helpful for some of our listeners out there who are maybe in the same boat or thinking about opening a practice or adding a second one. Any pros of wisdom there? Like what you caught that's
Yeah, I went really deep. I went really deep into understanding why it was happening, what was happening, right? So it was all of the above. The leaky buckets that we call in the broader term, they were coming from all the issues that we were having related to, staff shortages, issues that were related to fragmented systems and technologies, where there was no accountability, there was a difficulty in tracking accountability. Insurances are in the business of not paying. And then if you're not able to catch those leaky buckets and plug them at the right time, you're running into issues of timely filing limits, and you're just constantly losing money. And then there's so much of overburden of work, and the technology, instead of helping, was actually causing all these perils. People were more comfortable just working with spreadsheets than using these disconnected, disparate systems. So I observed all of that, and then, just kept adding staff was something that I did really wrong, because if you keep adding staff, they're also doing the same thing what others were doing. So I decided, okay, I want to add staff, but the money that came in from selling these practices, the smartest thing I did was I started working on an offshore team.
Okay.
So because I had a presence in India, I had a brother who was with me when I scaled the practices from 1 to 3. And then I continued to scale up to like 7 practices. And this brother of mine, he's my cousin, he went back to India for health reasons, and his mother was not keeping well. His name is Tausif. He's the VP of operations in India now. So he went back and he tried his luck in India, and he was unsuccessful. And seeing him struggling, I thought, maybe there's a connection here where we can maybe start something together again. So I talked to him. I said, okay, let's pick up 5, 6 people who have some experience in the RCM space. You're also experienced. You can train them. And then let's bring them on to do the work for our offices. So that's how we began. And that year, I think it was 2016, I had tremendous success. I had an EBITDA at 35%.
Okay, that's strong.
Yeah, very strong. So I just said, okay, when we had study circle meetings, I started talking to my colleagues about how I was able to make that profitability. And my friend said, okay, this is great. Can you start a team for me? Can you start a team for me? So I spoke with Tausif and I said, let's do that. This is our chance to improve our teams, increase our teams. Maybe this can be a business model in itself. Tausif agreed. And then we started those teams. We went to 35 people. And then we started marketing a little bit to outside of the friend circle. We went to 60 people. And then I started feeling the pressure again because certain clients started complaining that, the team is not doing what they're supposed to do. People were slacking off and becoming lazy, or, they were burnt out themselves. So I thought, okay, this is the time for us to invest in technology that we should build on our own. So tech, when we thought, okay, we said, okay, we have all these spreadsheets, a maze of spreadsheets that we have that we assign all the tasks to. Let's see if we can find something in tech where we can just ingest all of this and then build something where we can establish certain accountability. We can have a method of assigning tasks to people and watch them as they do the work. So there's a tech company called Zoho, and we just ingested all of these things into Zoho and did our own development on Zoho, and we ran it, and it ran really well. We saw that, the proof of concept was established right there, but because it was a third party, we had a lot of limitations with it. So we could not integrate it with PMSs. We could not bring another third party in to be able to provide certain microservices within it. So all of this led me to believe that, there is a big void in the industry that can be filled, and this problem maybe can be solved, at least for our own sake. So we started building. We scrapped the whole project and we started building from scratch. It took us a while. But even at that time, I did not have the idea that, I'm going to license it out to the dentists outside of my own customer base. So we just continued to build. I built one module and second and third. And now we have 8 modules and created a monster.
So wait, let's pause for a second. Because all this is pulling out of your multiple pediatric offices. I mean, you understand you got these leaky buckets. You close some practices, take the proceeds, start what I'm going to call as an insurance billing company offshore. In case some of our listeners out there with RCM, Trichology, but these are the folks doing your billing for Delta, Atlantic, Cigna. Right. So you build that team out, then you start getting some demand. So you take your leaky buckets, you find your solution. Now a business pops out of it.
Yeah.
So you're running an insurance billing company if I'm tracking right. And then from that, you still got that operator hat on, and you see a problem in the industry in total with the system, right, to drive the process. So you now want to jump in and you're developing or have developed software.
Yes.
To take this a step further, to drive that process from the practice to the insurance billing folks I'll let you pick up from there. So I just want to make sure I'm tracking because you went through a lot of steps there. So now you have 8 modules inside of this software. What does it do?
Yeah. So basically, the managed services helped me understand that managed services cannot be managed without a proper technology at hand, because these managed services not only cater to the offices for just insurance, billing and claim submission, account receivables, follow-up and eligibility. They started like that, but we started doing accounting for people. We started doing bookkeeping. We started doing credentialing. We started taking up projects like special projects where they have an audit or they want some hands to be able to address that audit from an insurance company, so on and so forth. So it's all managed services because we've lived those pains. We have created like departments within our managed services to be able to address it. And we call it pods, point of delivery service of the service. And it's part of DentTracks, where we have the technology and then we have the human in the loop now. So coming back to technology. So the technology that we have created is basically powered by AI. And we just did not want to give more KPIs and dashboards in the hands of people. There are lots of them out there which are giving KPIs and dashboards in the hands of people. But what happens at this day and age is, if you are even telling a provider or a clinician operator that you have $250,000 sitting in your accounts receivables, suddenly the thought that comes to their mind is, okay, this is bad. I mean, I don't know how it came to this stage, but it's worse because I don't have the bandwidth to be able to address it. Who am I going to tell this to collect? I have 5 people in my staff. They're super busy. And if I want to add another staff member, I don't know, it's going to take about 2 to 3 months for them to get properly onboarded and take it from there and then start giving me the effect. So we're like, okay, technology will help you because technology will be able to take care of a lot of these tasks for you by itself. And then wherever the technology fails, then the human expert will come into play, will take care of that exception for you. They will mark it as an edge case or an exception, feed it back into the learning loop of the AI, ML. Next time that same issue is encountered by the technology, it has learned somewhat. It may need a few more iterations, but then eventually that technology will start picking up that edge case as something that it does flawlessly. So that's the beauty of an autonomous system versus a system which is automated. So automated is trained to do the things right based on a script, but that script can fail. Autonomous is trained to do the right thing, which is reaching the destination. So it's based on the objectives and the key results that you train it on. Say, for example, in a case of a claim, we train the technology for a key result of 0 balance on the claim. So it'll get stuck, it'll reroute itself just like a self-driving car. It'll find alternate ways to address the claim so that the actual result, which is the key result, is a 0 balance on the claim. So that is what we have built to a great extent, and we continue to build. With technology, Dan, it is an ongoing process, but that's the vision.
That's fascinating that you have the people still involved, right? To pull it in, help on the training portion of it, and also make sure that it's just not bouncing back to the clinician. I like what you said there, right? You're shining the light on this $200,000 problem, but you're also bringing the solution, right? And it might not be 100% autonomous yet, but even if that stops, you have the people.
Absolutely. Okay, absolutely. Because, that's when the clinician always needs to see a verified result. They need to see the result, right? I mean, if you say technology is stuck and then, this is the issue, at their end, it's a problem that keeps multiplying. And that's what happens with DSOs too. For a clinician operator who has a single office, that particular problem is one problem. But in a DSO with 50 locations, that one problem multiplies into 50 and it becomes a big challenge.
Yeah, exponentially growing. Yeah,
exactly.
Well, I'm curious on this, on your take. love the conversation from the beginning of your story to where you're sitting today. Let's pull out the crystal ball. I mean, I used to ask this question about 5 years out. I think now even 1 to 3 years is a little bit of a challenge. Where do you see technology when we're looking at the dental space, the changes it's going to bring over the next 1 to 3 or 1 to 2 years?
It's going to be fascinating. I mean, I created an elevator pitch for one of the investors, and you know, the vision that I explained in that elevator pitch of 2 minutes was this: the way I want my technology to work is when the first phone call comes to the office, that first phone call is answered by AI, and the AI gathers information about the patient, about the insurance, and the symptomatology of that particular patient. Now, say based on the symptoms, they have a bad toothache and they want to get in as soon as possible, and they give you certain symptoms: toothache, sensitivity, can't sleep at night, so on and so forth. Now, the AI records that, okay, based on the information that it got about the insurance, sends the link to the patient. They fill out all the forms that they're required to fill out. On the other hand, that same information about the insurance gets kicked into a system which starts running the eligibility verification for the patient, and all of that becomes ready. Now, when the patient walks into the office, my dental assistant receives the patient. I don't have front desk in my offices. I've eliminated front desk, or I have repurposed them. Okay, already, right? So this is where my vision comes into play, right? So now that front desk takes the patient, now the front desk has certain duties of the dental assistant has some duties of a front desk, right? So out of the 18 duties that a front desk is supposed to do on a particular patient, the AI has already solved 18 of them. So when the person clicks the name of the patient, they know that these are the 2 things they have to do: collect $125 and then take the consent. Very pointedly, the AI is telling the person who receives the patient, do these 2 things. Now they're supposed to just do those 2 things and take the patient to the operatory 2 that the AI tells them and seats them on that chair. Now Dr. Smith is ready for that patient. The dental assistant clicks the name of the patient, and the dental assistant is told by AI, okay, you have to take a PA of tooth number 30 for these reasons. There is already a differential diagnosis made by the AI. Now, when the assistant takes that X-ray, the imaging AI kicks in. It corroborates the finding from the symptomatology that the patient had, and it creates a differential diagnosis for the doctor based on the X-ray findings. Doctor clicks the name of the patient. Now, doctor has a differential diagnosis and the preferred treatment plans. 1, 2, 3. Say in this particular case, the X-ray shows that the fracture on the tooth is below the crestal bone or below the gum line. So the AI recommends that this particular case should be extraction, implant, bone graft, and a crown. Okay? Now imagine my dentist is not trained with placement of implants. And this happens a lot, unfortunately, in our industry. I mean, you know, everybody is trained at different levels. But unfortunately, people plan treatment according to their trainings. For example, in this case, if my dentist is not really trained in implants, they will plan an extraction and a bridge, which is not the first line of treatment in today's day and age, right? Because you're shaving off 2 natural teeth. Now imagine if this report is pulled out from the system where this particular dentist has done 6 cases like this in the last quarter. When the dentist owner gets that report and the dentist owner sits down with this dentist, they can have a very meaningful conversation. Okay, I see that you've planned this, and I see that, you know, maybe you need training with implants. Maybe, you know, I can send you to some courses. But if we continue to plan like this, the evidence suggests that the best treatment for this case is to do implants, these 6 cases. So we need to get you to a stage where you are able to do these cases, or you should refer it to somebody in our practice or our specialist that can place an implant and do. So that meaningful conversation prevents risk to the practice, right? It prevents the risk to the clinician owner as well as the dentist who's planning this. So this is what actually provides better care to the patient, and that's my objective. So I want to make sure that, whenever we discuss about millions of dollars in the industry with DSOs, I want to focus back onto those clinicians in the industry and those clinicians in our neighborhoods that still believe in mom and pop shops. That's my passion. I've seen that relationship happen between Dr. McGowan and his patients. I've seen that, and I've experienced that relationship where, when the dentist is sitting down with the patients for half an hour explaining treatment to them and then sitting down and talking to them like a clinician and a doctor, the impact that it creates on families. That's my passion. I want to give these tools in the hands of these clinicians who are not very good with business.
Just bringing time back to them here. It is really
exactly bring time back to them, and then give them certain tools of business. I've seen so many of them fail, not because of the dentistry that they're doing. It is because they are not very adept with business of dentistry. So why not just give these dentistry business tools in their hands? Just look at these 7 things every day, and your business will run on autopilot, and it will run well. And you just keep doing what you're best at doing. You spend time with your patients. So this is my passion.
And I love the passion. I love the vision for it too. Yeah. So that's where you see it's like an autonomous, let's call it an augmented version of a practice.
Exactly.
Digital labor and human labor. It's a very hand.
It's really augmented. That's the term. We shouldn't call it autonomous because it's a growing technology. Yeah.
Fascinating. So, knowing your vision, your passion, I'm curious, you as a person, what do you do to unwind and actually disconnect from the dentistry, the tech side of it? What's your go-to at the end of the day?
Well, I'm a foodie. I enjoy food. I spend a lot of time with my family. Now that I'm in a role where I'm not within the 4 walls of a dental office, I'm able to do all of those things with more time on my hands. But I love playing cricket, which is my passion. I watch cricket, I play cricket, I go out on vacations with my family, and then I really enjoy the business side too. I enjoy the part where I'm able to help other people like people have helped me. So that's what drives me, and I just continue to be on that path. And now I don't feel burnout anymore because of the fact that I'm not doing all of these things. I've been able to build the team, and then that has been my biggest asset. The teams that I have 350 people in India that are working and catering to about 125 practices in the United States. I have about 125 people here in Houston helping us out with the technology and with my offices. And now I'm in the process of building a great, ecosystem of advisors and people who can associate themselves with our technology, with what we have built.
That's amazing. Good for you on building teams. I don't know if that's necessarily decompressing and I'm disconnecting from it, but I love that you're building some teams. Sounds like you're having some great success. So if there's anybody listening, watching this, what's the best way for them to connect with you if they just want to learn more about your service, your story? How should they reach out to you?
Well, we have our websites, DentTracks.com, usadentalsolutions.com. I'm on LinkedIn. People can reach me anywhere. And then, we will put at the end, we can put some QR codes for people to go ahead and try to reach me if they want to reach me or my team members. We have what we are busy right now is we are doing a capital raise for our first round of pre-seed round, where I'm inviting all the dentists and people who want to utilize this technology in their offices and see how powerful it is and give us feedback. And we are also trying to see if they want to invest as early investors in the technology. The vision is to take this into a big company, hopefully, where people can benefit on a global scale, because insurance is coming to all parts of the world now. Insurances are coming to India. I'm directly in touch with people who are at the helm of, doing this as managed care in India also. Other countries like GCC countries, Europe, everywhere. So I mean, yeah, it's a revolution, I think, and I want people to join and see if they can find their own spot in this. And I'm opening my arms and welcoming people who think that they can be a part of it.
Well, thanks for joining me today and sharing your story.
Well, thank you so much.
I think it might have to be a second episode. There are a lot of stories that had backstories out of it. So maybe another time we'll have to get together and chat. For all those listening or watching, appreciate you tuning in. Follow us. We'll have, future episodes. Thunderbird stories out there. Until next time, just stay out there, keep doing the work. Thanks for listening.